Oke.
Oke, sudah terlihat jelas ya?
Ya,
Ya. Ya, selamat pagi teman-teman. Terima kasih Pak Arman sudah bergabung di all hand meeting kami. Perkenalkan, saya Robin, saya yang akan melakukan hosting di all hand untuk hari ini. Oke, jadi Pak Arman ini adalah co-founder dari BUMD Transformation Center or BDC dan juga Head of CSID and Public Policy dari ITS. Pak Arman, mungkin bisa diceritakan sedikit tentang journey-nya Pak Arman dari mulai dari ITS Innovation Partnership Department.
ya. Baik, terima kasih Mas Robin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Pagi, salam sejahtera dan sukses untuk kita semua. Terima kasih atas invite-nya dari Mas Rama, kemudian dari tadi Mas apa tadi?
Furkon.
Mas Furkon, ya lupa ya. Dan Mas Cincu yang gitu ya. Sebenarnya awal karir saya itu kalau di manajemen edukasi itu adalah 2008 sampai 2010 itu saya menjadi staf khusus rektor ITS gitu ya. Jadi dari situ kemudian 2010 sampai 2016 awal itu saya melanjutkan S3 di UGM gitu ya. Ya, S3 UGM in the field of industrial engineering, doctoral industrial engineering, dan pada tahun 2016 sampai 2009 setelah saya balik dari program doktoral saya di UGM, saya menjadi Vice Deputy daripada Innovation and Partnership Department ya di ITS. Kemudian selama periode tersebut itu juga menjadi kepala laboratorium Business Analytical and Strategy di Departemen Manajemen Bisnis ya. Departemen Manajemen Bisnis is look like School of Management Business in ITB ya, look like that, but it is in ITS. And 2020 sampai sekarang saya menjabat sebagai Head of dari Center Public Policy on Business dan Industri, 2 periode berarti ya. Nah di sini selama karir 2020 sampai sekarang itu 2021 saya menjadi EIT AA founder dari untuk legal bisnisnya. Kemudian ada yang juga kita buat antara lain Metaverse Learning Center. Kemudian juga yang terakhir adalah BUMD Transformation Center. BUMD ini kalau kita terjemahkan jadi badan usaha milik daerah gitu ya. Jadi kita melakukan koneksi antara kebutuhan BUMN dengan BUMD sebagai hub dan dengan badan usaha milik desa yang ada di bawahnya. Kira-kira seperti itu.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Arman atas sharing journey-nya ya, sangat inspiring sekali dan insightful untuk didengar karena dari awal sampai akhir karirnya sangat diverse menurut saya dari area bisnis, teknologi dan juga policy making. Saya ada beberapa pertanyaan untuk Pak Arman tentang journey-nya. Pertanyaan pertama, saya curious tentang
bagaimana
lesson yang Bapak sudah pelajari
Iya,
tentang bridging data analitik dan policy making.
iya.
Ya, Pak Arman silakan.
Iya, baik. Jadi kalau kita berbicara policy making ya, kebetulan pada tahun 2020 itu saya mulai ditunjuk oleh rektor sebagai ketua Pusat Kajian Kebijakan Publik ITS, gitu ya. Nah, kalau disingkat itu CSPP ya, Center of Study Public Policy, gitu ya. Nah, kalau sekarang 2025 itu namanya sedikit berubah jadi Center Study of Industrial Policy, Industrial Development and Public Policy ya. Sedikit berubah karena di tahun 2025 sampai 2029 nanti kami itu menggarap bidang tidak hanya not just only research but also community development ya, APMAS kalau bahasa Indonesianya gitu ya. Jadi kalau kita bicara public policy itu sebenarnya kita membuat suatu rekomendasi ya kebijakan atau policy brief yang berbasis inovasi ya sebagai kompetensi daripada engineering yang ada di engineering and science yang ada di ITS. Sehingga poin daripada kebijakan publik yang kita kembangkan di ITS mungkin sedikit berbeda dengan yang ada di UI ataupun di UGM karena UI dan UGM kebanyakan kan dikembangkan oleh bidang hukum ataupun bidang apa namanya sospol gitu ya. Kalau di kita maka ada beberapa poin untuk mendevelop public policy yang bagus. Yang pertama selain daripada aspek hukum yang biasanya juga dikembangkan oleh perguruan tinggi lain, tapi kita juga bicara aspek lingkungan. Kita bicara juga aspek bisnis. Dan yang terakhir kita bicara tentang aspek innovation. So ada 4 ya, 4 factors that can be choice ya to be a policy brief ya, or making policy brief ya. Pertama adalah tadi aspek hukum, regulation, kemudian aspek lingkungan ya, environment, ketiga adalah aspek bisnis ya. Percuma kita membuat suatu rekomendasi kalau secara bisnis tidak masuk kan gitu ya. Dan yang terakhir adalah innovation. Dan innovation ini yang menjadi kekuatan kami di ITS sehingga kami kebetulan saya juga pendiri daripada Magister Innovation Services and Public Policy di Magister Inovasi Kebijakan Publik ITS S2 ini. Jadi program S2 itu termasuk foundernya adalah kami gitu ya. Gitu ya. Kemudian dari situ kita melihat bahwa public policy ini sangat penting sedemikian rupa sehingga nantinya government office itu punya best understanding dengan dunia bisnis gitu ya. For example ya, nah ini Mr. yang ketawa ini ya. For example kalau kita lihat di di Nanyang University of Singapore itu dia punya yang namanya Nanyang Fellow ya. Nanyang Fellow itu sedikit berbeda dengan Kennedy School of Business. Kalau Kennedy it's just only government official mindset, tetapi kalau Nanyang itu adalah bagaimana lulusan daripada Nanyang ataupun Nanyang Fellow tadi itu mempunyai pemahaman yang bagus antara government dan bisnis. Sehingga mahasiswanya mereka itu terdiri daripada mix antara government dan bisnis yang mereka semua adalah the rising star gitu ya. Kira-kira seperti itu Mas Robin.
Oh ya, terima kasih Pak Arman, sangat inspiring untuk insight-nya. Saya kira teman-teman di sini punya inspirasi dari journey-nya Pak Arman ya, dari data analitik dan policy making dari juga dan innovation. Move ke question 2 Pak Arman.
Ya.
kalau saya lihat Pak Arman itu mendirikan Aita Foundation ya, saya penasaran,
Ya,
eee, yang mendasari Pak Arman untuk, eee, membuat Aita Foundation itu apa Pak Arman?
oke. Jadi AIT EA Foundation itu kan singkatan daripada AIT ya, Asian Institute Technology Alumni ya. Alumni AIT yang ada di Indonesia. AIT itu dia ada di Bangkok kan. Ya, itu sekolah internasional tempat saya dulu ngambil master degree. Nah, pada saat itu AIT itu kan di Indonesia itu hanya kayak apa ya, not just berbadan hukum dia, tetapi dia adalah kayak WAG Group alumni gitu ya. Maka kita berpikir gimana caranya nih supaya AIT ini bisa doing business ya, ketemu dengan alumni, not just only talking or apa makan-makan gitu ya, tapi we will make something that more valuable gitu kan ya. Maka kita jadikan AIT AI itu sebagai berbadan hukum gitu ya, badan hukum sedemikian rupa sehingga kita bisa melakukan kolaborasi. Misalkan kebetulan kalau di AIT itu alumninya ada yang dari Amerika, itu juga pakar yang kerja di Google gitu ya, pakar AI. Kemudian yang di Indonesia ada yang di Universitas PTN maupun PTS, sehingga dengan adanya badan hukum itu kita bisa making collaboration ya, making collaboration sedemikian rupa sehingga kalau kita bicara yang namanya dalam konsep pembelajaran itu kan ada yang namanya higher order thinking ya. Mas Robin pernah tahu atau
Iya,
teman-teman
juga
higher
pernah
order
tahu.
thinking ya, the top level of the higher order thinking is create ya, create ya. Jadi creation is something that must be encouraged by innovation kan. So dari situ banyak yang bisa kita dapatkan daripada membuat AIT ini sebagai badan hukum gitu ya. Termasuk juga kerjasama, kebetulan saya juga membuat asosiasi, Mas Robin dan kawan-kawan, yang namanya ADIDES, Asosiasi Dosen Integrator Desa, gitu ya. Jadi kita jangan meremehkan desa, karena potensi desa ini kalau dileverage besar, gitu ya. Sementara ini tidak bisa dileverage karena mungkin masalah sumber daya manusia aja, gitu kan ya. Jadi ada asosiasi dosen integrator desa di mana EIT itu masuk di situ. Ya, alumni-alumni EIT masuk. Kita juga mengembangkan Indonesia Blockchain Center. Jadi kebetulan saya foundernya ya di IBC Indonesia Blockchain Center di ITS. Itu pertama kali kita di Indonesia itu adalah di ITS gitu ya. Dan kita dapat support dari Dubai Blockchain Center gitu ya. Dari Khalifah Al-Jaziri, Deputi Kemenko perekonomian mereka gitu ya. Sekarang kita coba untuk kolaborasikan dengan Unhas gitu ya, di mana Unhas nanti juga akan bikin Indonesia Blockchain Center untuk Indonesia bagian timur, tapi di bawah supervisi kita juga dengan Digital Syariah Teknologi, itu adalah cabang daripada Dubai Blockchain Center. Sehingga dengan demikian kalau kita lihat dari sisi mungkin pengalaman ya adik-adik sekalian, saya ini terlalu banyak create sesuatu gitu kan ya. Tetapi supaya jalan, saya harus punya pasukan yang banyak dan kuat gitu kan ya. Karena orang yang suka create itu kan begitu create dia akan create lain gitu ya. Jadi yang lain tinggal dikontrol gitu seperti itu. Dan alhamdulillah masih berjalan dengan baik meskipun sudah ada berapa ini ya. Ada Magister Innovation and Public Policy S2 di ITS, kemudian ada Indonesia Blockchain Center, ada ADIDES gitu ya. Kemudian yang terakhir ini adalah BUMD Transformation Center. Kira-kira gitu. Akhirnya saya enggak bisa gemuk ini jadi sekarang, tambah kurus ini.
Ya, oke. Sangat inspiring ya. Jadi Pak Arman ini membuat Aita dan juga Adidas tadi ya, itu untuk berkolaborasi membuat inovasi ya. Ya,
Ya,
sangat menarik sekali. Dan ada beberapa inovasi yang pertama kali dibuat di Indonesia tadi ya, Pak Arman.
ya.
Ya,
Indonesia Blockchain Center.
ya Indonesia Blockchain Center pertama kali dari
Ya,
ITS.
ya.
Ya, sangat inspiring. Move ke last question, Pak Arman. Saya penasaran tentang BUMD. Nah, ini challenge-nya itu apa itu untuk dan apa namanya, opportunity untuk lokal ekonomi
Oke,
transformation.
baik. Terima kasih. Jadi kalau kita lihat BUMD ini dari sisi aset ya, Danantara aja kalah itu, Pak. Iya kan? Danantara kan sudah digebur-geburkan sebagai super holding ya. Padahal kalau kita lihat BUMD aset seluruh Indonesia dijadikan satu, itu bisa hampir 2 kali lipat lebih dari Danantara. Itu kan ya. Jadi nanti saya kirimkan ada ya brosurnya apa namanya ke Mas Rama atau Mas Rubin gitu ya, tentang apa BUMD Transformation Center. Nah, kita melihat bahwa sementara ini kan antara BUMN, BUMD dan BUMN desa itu jalan sendiri-sendiri, betul ya. Padahal ini yang pemiliknya satu kan pemerintah kan, iya kan. Nah, jadi ego sektoral ini ada gitu kan, sehingga kami dari perguruan tinggi saya menggandeng tidak hanya orang ITS tapi juga aliansi kami yang ada di Adides, antara lain dari UGM itu Prof Alfa, dari UI itu adalah Bu Santi, dari Artificial Intelligence Center Indonesia, dari UB itu ada, dari kemudian UNED ada gitu ya, dari UNER juga ada gitu ya. Jadi kita harus bikin aliansi sedemikian rupa sehingga nanti powerful kita adalah penetrasinya secara nasional lebih kuat gitu kan ya. Intinya prinsip bisnis begitu kan. Jadi dari sini kita contohkan ya. Misalkan kalau BUMN pangan itu apa? Ada yang tahu Mas? BUMN pangan apa ya? ID Food kan ya? ID Food. Nah, sekarang bisakah ID Food itu bergerak sendiri tanpa dukungan dari bawah? Tidak mungkin kan? Maka kita butuh ya BUMD yang bisa mensupport performa daripada ID Food ya untuk klaster pangan sedemikian rupa sehingga nanti BUMD tadi itu akan menggerakkan BUM desa, badan usaha milik desa yang berhubungan dengan pangan, misalkan kalau padi ya dengan padi, sedemikian rupa dia bisa mensuplai kebutuhan nasional ataupun ekspor daripada BUMN pangan. Untuk BUMN yang industri kreatif juga gitu, beda-beda nanti ya kan ya. BUMD-nya apa ya? BUMD desa yang industri kreatif apa, seperti misalkan di Jogja banyak industri kreatif yang berhubungan dengan kulit gitu ya. Pengembangan produk-produk kulit dan lain-lain. Nah, kebetulan ini kan Trump lagi bikin apa namanya reciprocal tarif gitu kan ya. Semoga dengan adanya BUMD Transformation Center ini kita bisa apa namanya memenuhi kebutuhan daripada produk-produk pangan khususnya dan produk-produk lainnya dari dalam negeri dengan kualitas yang nanti akan disentuh lebih baik lagi. Seperti itu kira-kira.
Ya, sangat insightful ya lesson-nya. Kita bisa tahu kalau BUMD ini membuat critical role dan meaningful local economic progress. Mungkin dari teman-teman ada yang ingin bertanya ke Pak Arman secara langsung.
Iya.
Satu pertanyaan ya, karena waktunya sudah mau habis. Ya, Bu Vidi, silakan.
Oke.
Iya, selamat pagi Pak Arman. Nama saya Vidi dari Budimista. Pertanyaan saya simpel sebenarnya Pak, karena saya orang teknis juga. Kalau misalnya kita bicara soal data kan ya, mungkin kalau kita mengerti matematika atau mungkin statistik itu biasanya objektif dan deterministik ya Pak. Tapi kalau misalnya kita berhubungan dengan bisnis atau mungkin masyarakat, kadang-kadang harus ada hal-hal yang kita adjust. Nah, dengan posisi sebagai seorang yang menyediakan data dan rekomendasi, apakah rekomendasi kita itu harus selalu 100% berdasarkan data gitu Pak? Mungkin pertanyaan saya seperti itu. Atau ada konsiderasi lainnya dalam pengalaman Pak Arman yang oh ini ternyata kalau walaupun datanya bilang gini tapi kondisinya itu seperti ini harus di-adjust sedikit seperti itu Pak. Mungkin pertanyaan dari saya Pak. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih Mas Vidi. Pertanyaannya bagus sekali. Jadi intinya kan kalau kita bicara tentang apa namanya data transformation, pertama itu raw basicnya kan data ya. Data diolah jadi information diolah jadi decision making gitu kan ya. Decision making itu diolah jadi apa? Kewisdoman kan, yang puncak atasnya gitu ya. Kalau kita bicara tentang wisdom maka tentunya itu kan adjustment ya. Adjustment antara konsep apa namanya bahwa apa yang kita putuskan itu agar supaya wisdom harus bisa mengakomodasi satu multiple kriteria, multiple stakeholder ataupun multiple shareholder sedemikian rupa sehingga kita bisa mengatakan bahwa wisdom itu ibarat kalau kita dalam konsep matematikal itu game teori gitu ya, win-win solution. Nah, it means that win-win solution akan membuat seorang pebisnis bisa melihat peluang yang ada dengan melakukan kolaborasi dengan pihak lain. Seperti saya lihat ini Mr. Yang ini senyum-senyum terus ini ketika kita diskusi. Wah, ini mungkin beliau punya pemikiran ini, gimana kalau BUMD Transformation Center itu bisa dikolaborasikan dengan Bukit Vista. Atau Indonesia Blockchain.
Pak. Many ways.
Indonesia Blockchain, bagaimana bisa dipakai sebagai bagian daripada Web3 daripada Bukit Vista, gitu kan ya kan? To make security system more better, kan gitu.
Well, menurut saya ada banyak ide, tapi saya terus ingin dengar apakah pertanyaan dengan teman-teman di sini di Bukit Vista ya. Vidi, I think that's a really good question. Yeah, so whether to trust data or to trust the kebijakan ya dengan decision making process. Okay, let's go with the next question ya. Biar ada di sini ada campur-campur dengan pertanyaan.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Arman atas jawaban dari jawabannya. Kita masih ada waktu sedikit, mungkin dari Marcel tadi kan angkat tangan. Silakan.
Halo, selamat pagi Pak Arman.
Pagi Mas Marcel.
Ya, saya mau bertanya gimana cara Bapak Arman nih melihat mengkategorikan suatu masalah bahwa masalah tersebut itu dapat di-resolve dengan policy making gitu. Bagaimana tuh cara Bapak melihat gitu bahwa this is a problem that can be solved with policy making. Itu aja pertanyaan saya. Terima kasih, Pak.
Ya. Jadi kalau kita lihat dari solution, kalau berbasis system thinking gitu ya. Ini tentunya Mr. Yang perlu mengajarkan system thinking kepada all of the people in the Bukit Vista ya kan, bahwa ada pendekatan-pendekatan penyelesaian masalah itu kan tahap awalnya kan pendekatan reaktif gitu ya. Ya kan? Tetapi reaktif itu saja tidak cukup kan ya. Pada intinya nanti next kita kan harus melihat pendekatan-pendekatan di atas reaktif itu adalah pendekatan yang sifatnya seperti melihat pola ya kan, pola ya, dan ujung-ujungnya yang pendekatan paling sistemik itu adalah pendekatan structure gitu ya, structure kalau di konsep system thinking gitu ya. Nah, kalau kita bicara permasalahan yang harus bisa diselesaikan oleh kebijakan, maka kebijakan itu ada dua kan ya, atau kebijakan di level korporasi ataupun kebijakan di level makroekonomi gitu ya. Kalau korporasi itu kebijakan di level perusahaan kan, mikroekonomi ya. Sementara kebijakan di level atas makroekonomik itu hubungannya dengan government policy gitu ya. Sebagai contoh misalkan ada masalah di Bukit Vista gitu ya, berhubungan dengan motivation gitu ya, motivasi karyawan. Nah, solusinya apa gitu ya? Misal dari sistem insentif gitu kan ya. Itu harus seperti apa? Not just only giving cash ya sebesar mungkin, tetapi juga harus mungkin didesain ya performance based revenue system gitu kan ya. Sebagai contoh ya, ada gaji pokok, kemudian ada mungkin gaji yang berhubungan dengan kinerja, performance gitu ya. Performance pun bisa dibagi-bagi ya. Ini tergantung daripada behavior daripada environment customer tersebut gitu ya. Sebagai contoh, saya pernah diskusi dengan pemilik toko ya, toko elektronik di Surabaya, tetangga saya. Dia itu mempekerjakan tetangga sekitarnya di belakang rumahnya dia ya, di pasar dekat. Kalau Surabaya itu ada namanya Pasar Pucang. Ternyata dia punya sense sumber daya manusia dari sisi payment yang bagus gitu ya. Meskipun dia bukan lulusan S1 gitu ya. Beliau bilang gini, saya itu bagi gaji daripada karyawan saya itu gaji pokok gitu ya, satu. Gaji pokok itu is mean that kalau dia kerja 100% hadir tanpa ada halangan, maka gaji mereka akan utuh 100%, ditambah insentif. Ya, gaji pokok ditambah insentif. Bayangin, ada gaji pokok tambah insentif. Kedua, kalau dia ada absen dan absennya itu tidak masuk akal, ya dipotong tuh otomatis ya pokoknya. Yang kedua adalah apa? Ada gaji harian. Nah, ini yang sulit mungkin ya. Gaji harian itu berhubungan dengan apa? Yang harus ngambil itu adalah istrinya. Jadi kalau karyawan di situ datang ya, ngambil gaji itu untuk apa? Untuk belanja bulanan. Belanja harian, mohon maaf. Jadi zaman dulu ketika saya bicara 2010 itu 25.000. Zaman dulu lumayan kan ya. 2010 itu 25.000, jadi istrinya yang suruh ngambil. Nah, dengan cara demikian, dengan melibatkan istri, maka ketika dia bilang gini, pemilik toko, ketika karyawan saya itu misalkan masuk angin sakit, mestinya enggak masuk kan dia. Sama istrinya itu dikerokin, jangan begitulah, nanti aku kan nggak bisa makan hari ini. Nah, dikerokin badannya gitu ya, sehingga lebih sehat. Nah, tidak hanya melibatkan istri, ternyata juga melibatkan anak dia. Jadi gimana caranya? Biasanya kan kerja Senin sampai Sabtu kan ya. Kalau dia mau lembur hari Minggu dengan cuma jam 9 sampai jam 2 kerja, maka dia akan dapat bonus lagi. Bonus ini untuk apa? Agar bisa ngajak anaknya sore main-main ke mall atau kemana gitulah intinya. Jadi sistem seperti ini ya, policy yang bagus adalah gaji itu melibatkan dirinya sendiri, pegawainya, melibatkan keluarganya, istrinya, anak-anaknya. Sehingga dengan demikian semangatlah hidup itu kan gitu ya, Pak Yang ya. Nah, sedangkan yang kebijakan di level makro ekonomi ya macam-macam gitu kan ya. Contoh misalkan bagaimana pemerintah itu harus punya tanggung jawab untuk bisa memberantas premanisme sehingga doing the business di Indonesia ini bisa berjalan dengan baik gitu ya dan lain sebagainya. Kira-kira begitu.
So wise.
Thank you.
Ya, terima kasih atas jawabannya Pak Arman. Semoga Marcel puas dengan jawabannya. Pak Arman, thank you once again for coming with us.
Okay, see you.
We really appreciate you joining us today. So,
Thanks.
if you would like, you are welcome to stay and observe our all-hand meeting. And if you have another activity line up, feel free to leave at your convenience.
Baik, saya izin live aja ya, ini karena ada acara rapat lagi yang menunggu. Semoga nanti adik-adik di Bukit Vista bersama Pak Yang itu bisa giving best performance ya, to be the good corporate in Indonesia, especially in Bali and other country. Oke, sampai jumpa. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ada mahasiswa MB saya kalau tidak salah ya di Bukit Vista ini ya, manajemen bisnis ya, Bu Erika ya.
Oh iya betul.
Iya Pak, saya dan Mas Rehan. Dulu saya di kelas Pak Arman waktu makroekonomi sama waktu KKN di Malang ternyata.
Oke.
Sama Bapak juga.
Ya, see you ya. Terima kasih ya. Baik, monggo izin live.
Lingkaran jadi lengkap. Okay, that's cool. Okay. Wow. All right. That's incredible. Good job, guys. Who brought Pa Arman to be our inspirational speaker?
Rama.
Well, he's doing pretty good right now. Okay, we truly have some next level inspirational speakers, guys. Okay, how's everyone doing? Okay, here, let me show you where, since we're talking about university, this is where I used to spend my time when I was in university. So I'm at Corey Hall. Corey Hall is the electrical engineering building here at UC Berkeley. And I just had a most amazing 2 hours. I met like 3 billionaires. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Let me show you. All right. So a few people who are pretty noteworthy. I got them on my phone. Actually, a lot of good people. Let me introduce them. Okay. Here's the first one. You guys ready? Yeah. All right. So let's see. This is Pontas and Ting Sutarja. Sutarja, if you don't recognize the name, is actually an Indonesian name. So Sutarja and his wife and his brother donated, I think, about like $50 to $100 million to the University of California for building engineering centers here. So pretty cool, right? And then right down, this is Ken Singer. Ken Singer is our buddy now for Con, right? Ken is the managing director of the Sutarja Center of Engineering, Entrepreneurship and Technology. And Ken was actually our house guest at a RTT here in California a few days ago, actually. So that's Ken. And just earlier, I met Miller. I don't know if Vinny remembers this guy. Yeah, Miller showed up, and Miller was the inspiration for putting ranking and that jackpot moment on BV Go. Remember, Vinny? We talked about Jesse Shell game design. So those of you who've been working on BV Go and wondering, why do we put the ranking? Why do we put the actions? Why do we put these things? This was actually inspired by a 3-hour discussion I had with Miller about using game design to actually manage relationships. So that was pretty surprising seeing him there. And then the last guy is, let's see, I got him here somewhere. This guy, oh, here's my Dean of Engineering. So this is the chair of the engineering school. Her name is Sujay King. If you don't know Sujay King, she did something that we all probably, all these people did something that you're actually using right now. Sujay King invented the FinFET transistor. The FinFET transistor is part of the reason why we're able to have such powerful MacBooks now. So she got the transistor to be smaller and smaller and smaller. And so that innovation led to mobile computing, high-powered, low-energy computing. So that was her just a few moments ago. And then the last guy that I just met was, let's see if I got him here. One more. Okay, where'd he go? Okay. One more. There's one more in here. Last guy is, this guy, Paul Jacobs. Okay, Paul Jacobs is was the CEO of Qualcomm. Qualcomm, if you don't know, is another reason why I'm able to talk to you, because Qualcomm works on the parts of the iPhone that actually communicate with the cell phone base station. They're the only component in the Apple ecosystem that everyone, even Apple, has to buy, right? So pretty inspirational. Like, met all these guys. Oh, and just the other day, I don't have his picture, but I met the chief technology officer of the CIA. So yeah, pretty nuts. He was the husband of a program that Eka's volunteering for. Anyways, okay, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So I think it's a good thing to do the inspirational speaker program, guys. I know it's probably a lot of work, and I really appreciate the work that goes on behind the scenes to the HR and PR team for organizing this. It's this, isn't it? It's like the people that you hang out with start becoming the people that you start becoming more like. So if at the inspirational speaker, you're talking to the heads of, let's say, education in Indonesia, you're talking to people who are leading the entertainment sector in Bali, you're talking to people who are really making movements, then I think the process of innovation, the struggles that you go through, the culture that we're building here, it doesn't seem so strange anymore. It seems actually like, yeah, that's what people who want to actually build cool things, that's normal. And hopefully that imparts a little bit on how we approach our work, our life, day to day. Okay, Mind All Hands is really simple, guys, right? I'm going to give more time for inspirational speakers to actually inspire you. I'm just going to talk about the same thing probably now until the end of the semester, okay? So just as a reminder, but here we go. All right, so once again, I'm here to remind us about where the goals are. The goal of semester 7, once again, is to reach a 4.2 million revenue target, 5-star percentage of 85%, and a partner brand churn goal of less than 255,000. We're paying 6x individual bonuses if the company achieves the sales target and 2 brand targets from March 1st this year to August 31st this year, and it will be awarded on September 5th. All right, once again, the rules are simple. If the revenue goal is not reached, then there is no bonus. And I'll stop there. Okay, I'm going to give anybody a chance to ask me anything. Yes, Sarah. Okay.
Maybe I'm just curious, sir. What did you ask to the 3 billionaires that you meet?
Okay, excellent. So Paul Jacobs, I asked him, and this was his response, okay? I asked him what he felt like he could do to ensure that engineering culture is upheld at the highest level possible. And this is what he said. He said something pretty fun. He said, he was really cool. He was like a surfer. He was like, yo, it's easy. You just got to care. I was like, how do you express care? He said, I'm going to care by giving this building and giving my donations to young engineering students. I asked him why. He said, engineering's hard. A lot of people are going to quit. A lot of people are going to leave this sector. And he told me that he'd rather focus on the undergraduates. That's the people S1 rather than the S2s. He said that the S1s haven't figured out what they want to do in life yet. So we need to support them more. But the S2s have already figured out that they're going to go for that goal. So that was Paul Jacobs, the CEO of Qualcomm. I went to Pontus. Pontus said something pretty funny. Pontus said that actually we talked about the last time we talked, right? I asked Pontus, when should I feel obligated to contribute back to this university, right? I'm not a billionaire. I don't have $50 million. I don't have, these enormous funds. He said, don't worry about it. When you've made it, then think about giving back. And this is actually from our previous discussion, Sarah, and this is important. This is super important. I asked him, well, don't you feel like a dilemma? Don't you feel like, if you're not giving back early enough, then you won't give back when you're wealthy? He said, that's not a problem. You will probably need to give back at some point when you're wealthy, okay? Don't worry about that. Worry about fixing yourself, okay? If you're an entrepreneur, get rich very quick. Make a lot of money. Because look, he said that if you're making a lot of money, people obviously care about what you're doing. They're giving you their hard-earned money in exchange for their hard-earned money. So he said, take care of yourself. Make sure you're producing something that people want. And then when you've overachieved and you look back at yourself and you're like, I don't deserve any of this, then give back, okay? That's the right time to give back. His wife, Ting, didn't say anything to me. I think she was just like, oh, hey, you're back again. And then Sujay King, my engineering advisor, she transformed. So she used to be a researcher. Her primary purpose in life was to turn the transistor and make it smaller. She said, I'm so proud of how our school is able now to support people. Before, we would just have to bring in a lot of candidates, and whoever could make it through the fight made it through. But a lot of people who probably could have gotten support never got support. So she's so proud now that she created a place where it gives so much back to people who want to study engineering. She also mentioned she was very proud of how 25% of people who come to the school now are the first to go to college in their entire family. So their parents did not go to college. So she was extremely proud of that. And then I went to Ken Singer, who's one of our mentors, and I asked him, how does he feel? And Michael Grimes. Michael Grimes was the person who built the building. Actually, Michael Grimes contributed another 100 million or something to build the engineering center today. And his angle was really funny. He said something like, I kind of got sick of how Stanford students kept on hiring Berkeley students because Berkeley students never started their own businesses and they would always work for Stanford students. And so we created this so that maybe one day Berkeley students would hire Stanford students to work in their organizations. And I said, amen, right? Yes, that's awesome. So yeah, I think it's that, Sarah. It's like, if you do get a chance to talk to somebody who has clearly been far more successful than you or me or anybody else, do try to find a good question so that you can gain some really sharp knowledge back. Yeah, so and it's not even the billionaires. Miller told us to use the jackpot moment to improve our BVGO app, right? And that happened to be a lot more practical. He's just a graduate. He just graduated as a student. So that's that. Yeah. But thank you, Sarah, for asking. Yeah, that's great. Hopefully everyone can also benefit from some of those knowledge terms. I feel extremely humbled. I feel like I'm a very small entrepreneur amongst like these very gigantic entrepreneurs. Okay. Anybody else have a question?
Okay, thanks, sir.
You're welcome, Sarah. Okay. All right. If there's no other questions, going once, twice. Okay. Pass it back over to is it Robin?
To Reza as our
Reza.
our
Okay,
moderator.
Reza, go for it. Okay.
Okay,
Take over.
thank you, Mr. Jing, for sharing your experience. That's very interesting. And I think we can move on to the next session, which is hospitality and revenue target will be delivered by Kak Hafiz. Time is yours, Kak Hafiz.
Okay, thank you, Reza. So sharing screen, Robin, yeah. Robin, please open the deck.
Robin, the deck is actually on the vision and mission statement page. Yes, and you can scroll down and you will see the Canva deck over there. Correct.
Yeah, just please hit the full screen. Yes, thank you, Robin. So good morning, everyone. I hope you have a good day and good spirit for today. So I want to announce our semester performance for this all hands. So this is the semester 7 target, which is 4.2 million US dollar, and hospitality target 85% for 5-star rating, and for the brand target or partner stability is 255,000 US dollar. Okay, please go into the next slide. Okay, and this is the hospitality target achievement. Please go to the next slide. The first one is the accuracy. The accuracy for this week is increasing for 2.9%. Go please to the next slide. For check-in, unfortunately, we got a decrease for 0.2% for this week. And next, the cleanliness. Cleanliness is increasing 0.9% for this week. And next, the communications. The communication is one of the metrics this week that have a decrease is 0.5%. Next. And the location. The location is increasing by 3.2% this week. Good progress. And next, the value. Value got a decrease by 1.1% this week. Okay, let's next. So this is the our progress in overall rating for the 5-star rating. For this week, we got 84.1%, which is 0.9% to go to achieve the 85%. So please go to the next slide. So this is the sample reviews that affect our hospitality score and the overall ratings this week. So there is some reviews that are affecting the location, communication, and the value. So please go to the next slide. So in total, I see there is 6 reviews that have big impact to our hospitality ratings for this week, especially for the Ayam Cempaka. We got 1 overall rating and 1 for 5 all the hospitality ratings. So next. So this is the analysis from the GPT based on the bad reviews we got this week. So there is a key issues that we have, especially there is a case complaining about the dirty bathroom, there is a smell and worn out towel, and there is another case that have concern about the accessibility, weak Wi-Fi, and ineffective air conditioning room. And the other case feedback is there is a positive comment that mentioned in slow response and there is a refund issue in Ayam Cempaka. Okay, that's all from me for the hospitality performance this week. For the revenue target achievement will be delivered by Furqan. Furqan, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mas Hafiz. I think I will be quick, because we are running out of time. So for the current progress, we are currently at 967,000 USD. We are improving or increasing by around $120,000 compared to last week. We still have around 162 days to achieve our revenue target at 4.2 million USD. Next slide, please. And for the partner stability target, next slide, we actually have no further updates regarding this part, which is a relief, and we should be thankful for that because we already exceeded the budget for this month target. So no updates since previous report. So there is no additional partner churn budget counted for this week. So that is all. Thank you very much, and back to the moderator, Reza.
Okay, thank you Kak Furqan and Kak Hafiz for delivering the hospitality and revenue. So we can move into company team target and achievement. That will be delivered by Kak Furqan. Thank you, Kak Furqan.
Okay, thank you very much, Reza. So for April target, this month target, we have 3 important targets with 1 additional. The first one is the revenue target. We are currently at 424,000 USD, marking around 91.38% of the progress to achieve the target. And the next one, we are at for the 5-star percentage, we are at 84.1%, marking around 93% to achieve the target. For the brand target or partnership target, we are still the same as last week, as also mentioned previously at the semester target achievement. And for the additional target, starting with revenue target, we are currently at 238,000 USD, marking around 76% of the target. Now, what are our opportunities for April? Considering that we have around 1 week left to conclude this month, we successfully managed to have 75% occupancy. This is actually pretty amazing, considering we are on the 3rd week of April, because compared to last month, we conclude last month's performance with 74% occupancy. This week, in April, the 3rd week in April, we already get 55% by only putting into the 3rd week. So that is a very good achievement by revenue management team and also operations team in whole. Congrats. We have 10% expired debts. We still have 4% maintenance and also 2% under research. However, we do not be afraid because we have around 8% nets available to achieve for the OK target. So that's the report. Thank you, Reza. Back to you.
Okay, thank you Kak Furqan. So we can move into weekly mission inspiration. Okay, so the first one is from Bukit Vista Mission. Is to inspire delight through hospitality innovation that positively transform our partner. Which is can delivered by Kak Furqan. Mr. Kak Furqan.
Yes, thank you very much, Reza. So the innovation is the Bali Business Review, the market insight with our academic partner. We finally invited one of our partners, Ibu Sekar Utami Setiastuti, to join our BBR session. This marks an exciting milestone as her academic clients brought a fresh perspective to our understanding of Bali versus Lombok market development and how we should navigate these opportunities with greater wisdom. And big shout out to Rama for coordinating this meaningful collaboration. It elevates our partnership with academic community while also create meaningful content for our partner and also leads. This session now is being edited under the supervision of Mas Rehan and Sokan Nadia for its final BBR release. We can wait to share it with you soon once it's up. However, if you can wait, I have attached the link for the full recording video that you can watch. Okay, that's my entry. Back to you, Reza.
Okay, thank you, Kak Furqan. So we can move into the Bukit Vista mission to inspire the electro hospitality innovation that positively transform our employee, which is also delivered by Kak Furqan. Time is yours, Kak.
Okay, so the innovation was our second Richard Newton series at UC Berkeley was lit and fire. Because we've reached another exciting milestone. Mr. Jing was invited once again to speak at the Richard Newton lecture series at UC Berkeley, 2 times in a row in a very short. It just less within 1 year. This signal and also a sensor and a sign that they are very interested and very anticipating our session at the UC Berkeley. We didn't expect a follow-up invitation to come this soon, but yeah. While I wasn't there in person, the audience feedback speaks the volumes itself. The session was widely regarded as meaningful, impactful, and for some, the best Richard Newton series talk ever to date. So huge big shout out to Mr. Jing for delivering such a compelling and inspiring session at UC Berkeley. That said, the jury doesn't stop here. We have 114 students that express interest to engage with us further. So we need to pivot from this activity soon. If you would like to see how Mr. Jing delivers his session, I have attached the video as well for you to watch the lecture. Thank you very much, Reza. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Kak Furqan. So there is one more for inspiring the hospitality industry through technological innovation will be delivered by Kak Wendy. Time is yours, Kak.
Yeah, thank you, Reza. I will share screen for this one. Wait. Okay. Okay. Is it already shared? Yeah. Okay, so I will announce the new feature. It's not actually feature, adjustment or enhancement, you can say it. I added new filtering options in our newsletter page in Bigger. For the new filter is the region and contract type. So now you can filter the newsletter based on their region and their contract type. For example, if you choose region Bali, it will only display the newsletter sent to property that's located in Bali, etc. Also applied for the contract type. For full board, it only displayed for the full board newsletter only. I think that's the only adjustment I added on our newsletter. Oh, and also I have migrated the endpoint for this newsletter. It already used the newest one, the version 2 for the newsletter, which is the better version than the last one. I think that's it. Thank you. And back to Reza.
Okay, thank you, Kak Wendy, for delivering the update for Bigger. So we can move on into the next section. Okay. So the next section is core value recognition. Okay, so the first one is from Kak Furqan.
Okay,
Can
thank you
you?
very much.
Okay, Kak.
Okay, all good ya? Okay, thank you. So I would like to recognize Rama for rising to the challenge and never settle. This one has been a particular dynamic for him because he's been leading with several innovation initiatives from refining startup masterclass branding, strengthening our BBR's collaboration, and also to elevating our partnership narrative, branding from the branding perspective with UC Berkeley later on. He's also been instrumental in repurposing the All Hands QOTW to bring more value to our internal engagement. So I want to take a moment to recognize his ability to pivot and push forward through it all with resilience and also focus. And on top of that, he actually has done his thesis. So I would like to congratulate him for has done completing his thesis defense yesterday, and he's finally pushing through, on his final academic finish line. So yeah, thank you Rama for everything. Back to you, Reza.
Okay, thank you, Kak Furkon. So the next one is from Kak Marcel Julie. So
Yeah,
thanks, Kak.
thank you, Reza. So this is for Pandu, for value for him to never settle. So Pandu has consistently bring insights on some improvement needed for Gaia to be able to manage guest experience correctly. So he consistently shows that he's able to supervise accurately and work around Gaia correctly. So yeah, it's because MSM, so he follows through on MSM. I believe it can be followed through by the engineer or AI engineer team. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kak Marcel. So we can move into Kak Gani. Time is yours, Kak.
Okay, thank you, Reza. I made this pretty quick. So I'd like to recognize Rehan to be able to discover a critical issue that we found on HubSpot. It is a data integrity issue. So we have found that, for example, one property has 2 owners. This is not good documentation because we want to only have a one owner point of contact only. So we don't want to confuse anyone in the company. So this is start from very beginning inspection. So kudos to Rehan to discover this. And the next is we need to tidy up again. One owner properties. I need to discuss with that Kyla. So yeah, basically that's it.
Okay, thank you, Kak Gani. So the next, because we do the personal updates asynchronously, so I'd like to remind you to fill out the personal update. And so there is no announcement, so we can back to Kak Robin to end this all hands session. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Reza. And thank you everyone for attending this all hand meeting for today. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day ahead.
Well done.